Yikes! King Charles blasts Harry. Final warning. Last chance saloon. The prince is skating on thin ice. Now, Heatworld, who are brilliant for royal exclusives, has spoken to a Buckingham Palace source who have told the magazine that the king wants to see real progress in the relationship rather than, and I quote, another cycle of disagreement and misunderstandings. Now, the insider went on to say King Charles has put his foot down and told Harry they've got to play by his rules, otherwise the door would be shut in the future. The Highgrove Summit, we're told by this insider, was an opportunity that just couldn't be wasted. Harry knows that there has to be a different approach if they're ever going to progress. Now, this insider goes on to say Harry spent a lot of time persuading Meghan that they need to play the game if they want to be welcomed back into the family. This is their last chance. Well, this is total humiliation for Harry, placed on the naughty step by the king. And who could blame the king? Because Harry's royal return just a few weeks ago was a public relations dumpster fire. So Charles is right to put his foot down. But the question is, will Meghan play ball and support Harry's efforts to behave himself and to rebuild relations with his family? Or will it be a scorched earth policy from the Duchess, who sparked outrage with her Instagram photo drop, effectively bragging about her UK royal return, sharing an incredibly ill-judged photograph of Archie and Lily running around Diana's childhood home of Althorp. Now let's get reaction from the Queen of US royal reporting and the star of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. Kinsey Schofield, welcome to the show.
Mark Dolan, I mean, I would have just taken this win and disappeared into oblivion, but not Meghan Markle. She's got to rub it in everybody's face and remind the entire world why they simply cannot stand her.
Well, that's exactly right. And the king is laying out the ground rules, but they're not going to be followed because you can't do business with these people. Meghan can't be trusted.
You know, I saw a lot of commentary surrounding one of your videos yesterday on my video. You know, people saying, I am done if the royal family has in fact invited Harry and Meghan to Balmoral. And I wanted to say, and I will say when and if I have the chance to like fully, you know, flesh out that story, these two manage to screw up things on their own all the time. What are the odds that they're not going to step in it? And, you know, what are the odds that this is actually going to come to fruition? And to your point, the king laying out these ground rules and saying, I need you to, it's going to take consistency. It's going to take years to rebuild this trust. You have literally spent over 6 years, if you consider what Meghan Markle was doing behind the scenes before Megxit, in some of her contacts scooping Us Weekly and some of the entertainment magazines that never cared about the woman prior to Prince Harry before she left the British royal family, you know, sneaking some negative headlines about the Princess of Wales and others into some of these American publications. I just think that the king is being pretty reasonable here and suggesting it's going to take a significant amount of time before I welcome you back with open arms and trust you. And I do see other commentators trying to say, it's coming, he's coming back. That's wild to me that anybody could think logistically that's an option.
Well, King Charles, as you know, is a kindly man. He's an intelligent man. He's a very elegant guy. His heart's in the right place.
And he's sick.
Well, correct. That's a big one. And also, he's horribly naive.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Maya Angelou, the wonderful US author of the book, The Color Purple, who said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And we know that the Sussexes can't be trusted. And in particular, in regard to Meghan, a leopard does not change its spots.
Yeah, I mean, I got some pushback on this from our friend Charles Ray, specifically former royal editor for The Sun. But I thought when Harry was in New York accepting his award for being one of the most influential men in sports or people in sports for time, that it was inappropriate for him to say to somebody, my dad's doing great, because I thought that crossed the line. King Charles
It was
is
outrageous.
Thank you. He's notoriously protective of his health, and having this been such a difficult and sacred meeting, I would have simply said, I was so thrilled to see my dad. So I do think that they've already proven that they can't keep their mouth shut.
It was obscene.
Thank you.
It was obscene to say, yeah, Pa, he's doing great, man. Yeah, I'll send you the x-rays soon, yeah, and the blood samples, red blood cell counts are a bit low, the white blood cells are up a bit, But I mean, the bottom line is that this is a guy, I mean, whenever he talks about his father's health, it's horrible. This is the guy that said, I don't know how long my father's got. And I agree with Charlie on 99.9% of things. But I think the reason why he did that is because he's embarked upon this very clear project, this PR strategy that I'm back. I'm a member of the royal family. We saw that in the ITV interview in Ukraine when he was dressed as a burglar for some reason, telling ITV News, I'm going to do these royal trips. I'm a member of the royal family. He goes to this athlete event, this guy couldn't kick a football. I don't understand why he's suddenly a sportsman. And he rode a horse once or twice in a game of polo, which is basically, it's cricket on a horse. The whole thing's mad. But the bottom line is that I think, Kinsey, that it is a strategy to say, I'm going to mention my father's health and I'm going to let Meghan post these photographs of Archie and Lily at Althorp. And we're basically going to feed it through any which way that we have returned. And I think something unusual has happened, Kinsey, which is, I think for the first time in years, Harry and Meghan have a shared goal again, which is to come back to England and be royal.
Do you think that Meghan actually wants to come back to England to be royal, or do you think that she still just recognizes that enough proximity to the British royal family makes her royal?
She wants to be royal. She wants to be royal adjacent. The Meghan brand needs to be royal again. She needs to be Duchess of Sussex with a capital D, capital S. It doesn't mean she's got to live in England and start opening hospital wings again, which those ill people, they don't need that. Meghan turning up, my husband. But the bottom line is that her brand is in the toilet, as you know. And I think that she's so happy that emotionally Harry misses England because then he wants to come home, reconnect with his father, use Archie and Lily as bait, and then Meghan benefits with her brand. So I just think, because I feel, Kinsey, they've been at odds with each other for quite a long time. I feel that Meghan has been quite competitive with Harry, and she's been pursuing the broadcasting stuff, the lifestyle brand, and Harry was just the influencer and the philanthropist. And you and I have talked in the past about the professional divorce. But for the first time in ages, I can see now that their ambitions are kind of aligned. And I think that's an unusual, surprising development.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that they both agree that they need the royal family to survive, and that that was a really hard come to Jesus that they had, because they left in a blaze of glory, burning bridges. And, I think we've said recently, if Spotify was still pumping them with millions of dollars because everybody couldn't stop listening to the Meghan Markle podcast, if we actually had Meet Me at the Lake and The Wedding Date and the Afghanistan movie, if these things were actually moving and Harry and Meghan were rocking and rolling in the entertainment space, then I don't think that there would be any attempt to engage with King Charles. The reason that they are engaging with King Charles, and the reason we're seeing Meghan crawling back on her knees back to the United Kingdom, is because they realize that they need the royal family to be relevant in any way, shape, or form. People just don't care about them anymore. But I do want to ask you, because yes, you're right, she outworks Harry 10-1. But I also don't think she likes hard work, which is why I don't think she would ever want to officially go back as a member of the British royal family, because it really is hard work.
Prince Harry once gave up everything for love. He walked away from royal life, left behind his military roles, family relationships, lifelong friendships, and even his home country, because he believed Meghan Markle was worth it. But years later, many royal watchers are asking a difficult question. Was marrying Meghan the biggest mistake Harry ever made? Because lately, almost every major decision surrounding the Sussexes seems to benefit one person more than anyone else. Meghan. The podcast launches, the lifestyle brand, the Netflix projects, the carefully staged Instagram photos, the media appearances, the business deals. Many critics argue they all strengthen Meghan's personal brand, while Harry appears to lose more and more of what once defined him. Even during their recent UK visit, attention quickly shifted away from Harry's attempts to reconnect with his family and onto Meghan's now famous Instagram photo drop. So, is this simply smart business? Or does it suggest that Meghan's priorities have never truly aligned with Harry's? Let's break it all down. When Harry left the royal family in 2020, the promise was freedom. Freedom from the media. Freedom from royal restrictions. Freedom to build a happier life. Fast forward a few years. Harry has become locked in multiple legal battles. His relationship with Prince William appears to be at its lowest point. Trust with King Charles has reportedly been severely damaged. He's lost military patronages that once meant everything to him. His public popularity has declined in both the UK and the United States. What has Harry actually gained? Meanwhile, Meghan has launched new business ventures, expanded her lifestyle brand, returned to Instagram, hosted podcasts, signed commercial partnerships, and increasingly positioned herself as a lifestyle entrepreneur. This contrast has led some commentators to wonder whether the Sussex brand has gradually become less about Harry and Meghan and more about Meghan herself. The recent UK visit became a perfect example. Reports suggested King Charles wanted the reunion kept private. No publicity, no photographs, just family. For a brief moment, the conversation centred on Harry. Would reconciliation finally happen? Could relationships begin to heal? Then Meghan posted her carefully curated collection of summer photographs. Immediately, headlines shifted. Instead of discussing Harry's meeting with his father, the media focused on Meghan. The beach photos, the Diana comparisons, the photos of Archie and Lilibet, the debate over whether using images connected to Althorp was appropriate. Whether intentional or not, the narrative had completely changed. Harry's family reunion became Meghan's media moment. Critics argue this has become a familiar pattern whenever the Sussexes make headlines. Royal commentators have repeatedly pointed out something interesting. When Harry speaks publicly, much of the conversation revolves around lawsuits, security, family conflict, or his struggles with the press. When Meghan appears publicly, the focus is usually on her brands, fashion, podcasts, business launches, or lifestyle image. One narrative generates sympathy, the other generates commercial opportunity. Some critics believe Harry has slowly become the emotional face of the Sussex brand, while Meghan has become its business engine. That's one reason people keep asking whether Harry has sacrificed far more than Meghan ever has. He gave up royal duties, military roles, his relationship with his brother, much of his extended family, even long-time friendships. Meanwhile, Meghan appears to have gained a global platform that many aspiring entrepreneurs could only dream of. Supporters would argue they're building a life together as equal partners. Critics see a much more one-sided picture. This is where public perception becomes especially divided. Nobody outside their marriage knows what happens behind closed doors. Only Harry and Meghan know the true state of their relationship. But people naturally judge what they can see. And lately, some observers feel the couple often appear to be pursuing different priorities. Harry continues focusing on legal battles, security issues, and unresolved disputes with the royal family. Meghan seems focused on expanding her business ventures and reshaping her public image. Those goals aren't necessarily incompatible, but they don't always appear to point in the same direction. Some commentators believe Harry is still emotionally tied to his royal past. Meghan, meanwhile, appears determined to build a future entirely outside it, while still benefiting from the global recognition that royal status brings. Whether that's fair or not is open to debate, but it's one reason the conversation keeps resurfacing. This is probably the biggest question surrounding Prince Harry today. If he could go back to 2018, knowing everything that would happen, would he make the same decision? Would he still leave royal life? Would he still walk away from William? Would he still risk his relationship with his father? Or would he choose differently? No one can answer that except Harry himself.
Of course it is, and it's boring. It's tedious. You just got to, meet veterans and listen to their war stories. Meghan's not interested in that.
No.
She just wants to be back in Hollywood with the sort of entertainment elite. It's a chore for her. But I think it's all about branding. And as I said before, Kinsey, I think that Meghan, the way to understand her, she's pathologically transactional.
Right.
And when I say that Harry and Meghan, their goals are aligned for the first time in ages, I don't think that's by design. And it's not, in my view, because she loves Harry. It's a coincidence.
It's convenient because they both are feeling like losers. And they're like, what else can we do?
You got it. She just needs that little bit of royal stardust to sprinkle on her brand. Like you said, she does not need to buy a country house in Berkshire, close to Windsor Castle. They don't need to do any of those things. But she needs to be close enough to the royal family that in America, she's once again seen as the Duchess, because she tried to actually discard her royal branding and she was just going to be this retailer, an entrepreneur, and
Meghan
impresario.
Sussex.
And right, you got it. So that didn't work out. And I think that it's very interesting to see how it plays out. But Charles is being irredeemably weak on this one, and he just won't learn, will he? Why do you think Charles is so incredibly forgiving?
I mean, because Harry is constantly positioning him as the villain, and I don't think that that's legacy-wise what he wants to be known as, and he fought so hard to work his way out of that position after the death of Diana.
Right.
Somehow made it through. I mean, really, the entire world was blaming him for the death of his ex-wife, who they all adored. She's become this martyr figure in her afterlife. And this is the same woman who had severe mental health issues, was calling her lovers, her married lovers 300 times and hanging up on them. I mean, she was not completely innocent in this scenario. She was a difficult project for Prince Charles to deal with at the time. So I think that he worked so hard to get out of the villain category after the death of Diana, and Harry using, in some ways, if you read Spare, the death of his dead mother to again reposition Charles as the bad father, the horrible ex-husband. And legacy-wise, I think, and that's something you do think about towards the end of your life when you're an older person and he meets his reign later in life. I think you are worried about legacy. And I think I've said this to you in the past, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I think 20 or 30 years from now, we're going to be like, oh, Charles was the bigger person during that UK visit. It was, less than an hour. Can you imagine, because you have young sons, let's pretend they marry somebody that you don't like, and you haven't seen them or the grandchildren in 4 years. Are you inviting them over for 45-minute tea, or are you asking them to dinner? The fact that they didn't even stay for dinner says so much to me about the relationship.
You're absolutely right. And maybe Charles is being tougher than we're giving him credit for, but I just was amazed that Highgrove House happened after the Buckingham Palace row, which of course rages on. And the way that played out is it became he said, she said, didn't it? A war of words, which is classic Sussex, because the conflict is always very public. It was public over Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party and the photos that never were. It was public over Sentebale. And we just see it time and time again, the row over Buckingham Palace. Charles forgives Harry, grants him the Highgrove House summit, but it seems that Harry will be staying at Buckingham Palace on his return in September.
Again, this is where I say, before I lose my mind and get upset over it, how will Harry screw this up before his luggage even enter the gates of Buckingham Palace? Because I think we skip a few steps. We're already skipping a few steps in the retelling of the Buckingham Palace debacle of 2026. Harry initially rejects the offer. Yes, he comes back too late, but he initially gives these guys the finger and says, I'll find a Motel 6. Don't worry about me. And then goes back and says, just kidding. Can I stay there? So I'm not going to get worked up until I actually see Harry waving out the window, through a Buckingham Palace window. I don't know do I believe he's been invited? I do believe he's been invited, because you and I both know that he's actually been invited to stay in royal residences for years now. He has opted to not stay there for years now. When he came back to celebrate Invictus's 10 years, he was invited to stay at Buckingham Palace. He opted not to because he wanted to look like a martyr as he walked up the stairs with Earl Spencer to say, look at the rest of my family abandoning me. And if he would have stayed at Buckingham Palace, it wouldn't have had that much of an impact.
I agree. And he's learnt some of that performative nonsense from his late mother, who I admired and loved very much, Diana. But she was very good at selling the narrative that she was lonely and isolated. And to a degree she was, but my goodness, she absolutely put that message out there, particularly the Taj Mahal photo, which became iconic. There she is sitting on a bench in front of that building, cutting a lonely figure on the world stage. So Harry, quite smart, like his mother, he understands PR. And you almost wonder, because the Buckingham Palace row, the original one from a few weeks ago, ultimately, if you really break that down to its bare bones, Kinsey, Harry called the king a liar. I mean, it was done through their people, the relentless and ruthless Sussex public relations machine, which never sleeps. But when I say he said, she said, I'm being polite. The Sussexes were calling the palace liars.
But what is clear is that his life today looks dramatically different from the one he left behind. Whether that's a success story or a cautionary tale depends entirely on who's telling it. What do you think? Do you believe Harry and Meghan are still working toward the same goals, or does it increasingly look like Meghan's priorities are taking centre stage while Harry continues to bear the personal cost? Has Harry gained the life he wanted, or lost far more than he ever expected? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more royal news, analysis, and the latest updates on the royal family. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.